wasn't much of anyone before God called me. Just anyone of you, just trying to get by. But then God came and he spoke to me. He said,
I have big plans for you, Jonah. And I was like, all right, big plans. I like the sound of that. But then he told me to go to Nineveh and to tell the people there to turn back from their evil ways. And to that I said, nuh-uh, no way, absolutely not.
Have you seen the way they treat the people that they hate? Have you seen the news lately, Lord? Are you sure you want me to go there? How about somewhere else? Someone else? Anyone else? They need to hear about you, Lord. I mean, I love you, Lord, but this is just too much. With all the unrest and hatred going on over there right now, there's no way you really want me to do that.
So I boarded a boat going the other way. There was no way I was going to Nineveh. There were hundreds of thousands of other Hebrews in my country, and as far as I was concerned, God could choose one of them to go in my place. I mean, I wasn't scared exactly, just cautious. I mean, was it so wrong for me to want to keep my head attached to my neck? Apparently it was. On the way to Tarshish, a great wind rose, and it was crazy. And I was in a restful, peaceful sleep, and the captain wakes me up by yelling in my face. He wanted me to pray to my God to calm the sea, to calm the storm. And of course I said I would, but I knew that God would not calm that sea until I had left the ship. Just call it a hunch.
I debated whether or not to tell them that I was their problem, but they found out soon enough by drawing straws. I drew the short straw. I always draw the short straw. They demanded to know what I had done, so I told them.
I had no idea that God had wanted me for this purpose so bad. I told them that the only way that they were going to save themselves was to throw me off of the ship. You know, all I can say is I must have been half asleep at the time. The sailors looked at me like I was crazy, and then they shrugged, and they threw me overboard. As I sank, slowly deeper and deeper, I thought, is this it? Is this the end of my short life? And just then I opened my eyes, just in time to see gaping jaws close over me. I was swallowed by a whale. A whale. For three entire days.
I sat in that God-forsaken place. The darkness, the hopelessness, the smell. You know the darkness that surrounds you when you know you're living in sin? There's nothing like it. I sat there for 3 days, praying, apologizing, praising the crazy creative God who had thought this all up to save me from myself.
On the third day, I was thrown up onto dry land. Enough said. I hadn't even begun to get over that traumatizing experience when God spoke to me again. He said, "Arise, Jonah, go to Nineveh, that great city, and tell the people there the message that I've given you." He didn't have to tell me a third time. I practically ran to Nineveh to tell them and proclaim the message of repentance that God had for that people. And then I braced myself for an onslaught of God's wrath and punishment. They really did deserve it.
But that's not what happened. They repented. And God forgave them. He withheld the judgment and destruction that he had promised to them. That really ticked me off. How could he be so generous with his grace, so forgiving to such a hateful, barbaric people? I was angry with the injustice of it all. I thought he was supposed to be a just God. These people were depraved, hateful. What was he thinking? I wasn't about to believe that he really did forgive them. I was going to call his bluff.
So I marched out, up the tallest hill I could find, and plopped myself down at the top, facing Nineveh. I wasn't going to move until that city was in flames. As I sat there, fuming, a plant grew next to me. Unnaturally fast, actually. And it grew until it was tall enough to shade me from the hot desert sun. I was very thankful for that plant, and as the heat of the day wore on, I grew to really appreciate that plant. In fact, I fell asleep beneath it that night. But in the morning, when I woke up, my plant lay dead, withered on the ground. A worm had gone to it overnight and killed it. Oh my gosh, so I just sat there and just underneath the beating sun, hour after hour, and the scorching wind threatened to dry me out. All I could think was, I miss my plant. And I was so angry.
God had just left me there all alone. I had done this for him, you know. I went where he told me to go. I proclaimed the message that he gave me. And now what? These people are just going to get off scot-free after all I had been through? No, that's it.
I'm done. Then God spoke to me once more. And he said, should you be angry at the plant, Jonah? Yes, I answered. Of course I should be angry. Here I am doing what you called me to do, and now I'm supposed to sit here and die while all their lives are spared. But then he said something interesting. He said, you didn't make the plant grow, Jonah. It grew by itself, and it lived for one day. And if you pity that plant, should I not pity Nineveh, a great city filled with thousands of people who don't know their right hand from their left? Those words silenced me.
They cut me to the core. God had given me another chance when I knew better. And here I was denying the same chance to someone else. Who am I to judge or condone? Who am I to decide life or death?
Does he not hold the oceans in his hands or the mountains in his fingers?
Does he need my advice, my opinion on what is right or good?
Or for me to show him the path of justice?
No. I am to hear his voice and obey his call. I am to love his people and hate all sin. I am his tool, called by his name, to help save those who are lost.
I didn't want them saved because I didn't see them as deserving.
The fact is,
Neither am I.